Hello and welcome to another episode of Rob's Ramblings here on the Bucks and Six channel. And today at the Brown Table of Sports Card Collecting, I have a bit of a life lesson to pass on first before I get into my main episode. As you can see, I have on display a very true statement that Rob is sometimes an idiot. I have a life lesson by Rob to get us kicked off today. Today, I went to our mailbox and I saw a pile of envelopes in there that all looked like baseball cards that I had ordered. I knew I had ordered some cards recently and I was expecting some to come in. So I grabbed a stack of envelopes and brought them in the house and I excitedly ripped them all open. And I found a card in that stack that I didn't remember purchasing. But I thought, well, maybe I had made a bid on an auction and it had came through and I had won the auction and I just was receiving the card. Well, that was not the case. What had actually happened was my incredibly thoughtful and lovely wife had bought me a card for my birthday, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. And she even warned me that she had done some shopping and that I should be wary of cards coming in the mail. But me being an idiot, as it does clearly state here, I am an idiot. I saw the stack of cards and didn't once check to see who they were addressed to. So I ended up opening yet another one of my birthday presents from my wife without her blessing. And since I did this, I wanted to make sure I showed it on the channel because it is an absolutely perfect card for me. She did an outstanding job. It is of one of my favorite current players. It is from one of my favorite current sets, and it is a Bob Ross Budding Talents Jackson Churio card. And I love this set. I've shown cards from it. The Art of Stealing cards, I had an episode on those. And I did not have any Budding Talents cards from that set until now. And this card, Jackson Churio, obviously being a Brewers fan, I absolutely love this card. And the picture is fantastic. I love that waterfall painting in the backdrop. So my wife did an excellent job of shopping for my birthday, but I failed to respect the fact that the envelope was addressed to her. So I opened it up early, but she wasn't too upset with me. She was frustrated, but she wasn't too upset with me. But anyways, I just wanted to show that card right off the bat. I'll just put it off here to the side to get started with the episode, just as a reminder to myself that I am an idiot. But the main thrust of this episode, I have teased this a number of times on the channel where I've shown some cards that have really cool looking images, photographs taken of catchers. And I've made note of the fact that I do have a small but growing collection of these cards that have really cool catcher images. Now I've kind of limited this just to vintage cards, and I did cheat a little bit because some of the cards aren't actually of the catcher, but there's a catcher prominently shown in the image itself. So I'm going to show some of those, and I've actually already shown a couple of these cards in previous episodes, but they're so good I'm going to show them again. So anyway, we'll get this started. First one here is a picture of 1981 Topps Bob Boone. He's got his mask off. He's clearly getting braced for impact. He's kind of squinting with that look in his eye, and he's waiting for the ball to arrive, and he's definitely got some contact coming within the next couple of seconds of this photograph being taken. So I thought this was a good one to get us started in the episode. Bob Boone, the 1881 Topps. The next one, this is kind of a funny one, actually. This is Charlie O'Brien. Charlie O'Brien did play for my Brewers for a few years. Kind of a little-known, obscure catcher. He played for the Brewers, and he played, obviously, for the Mets. I think he also played for the Braves for a while, but he he was kind of a journeyman, but I thought this picture was kind of funny because he's clearly failing. If you can see, the ball there is clearly not in his glove, and the runner from the Pittsburgh Pirates there is crossing home plate, and Charlie doesn't have the ball in his glove. So I've always liked that picture of him from the Stadium Club picture. I think it's 1992, 1991, something like that. So anyways, Charlie O'Brien, sorry, man. Everyone knows that you failed on that play, but I always like that picture because of that. Now, the next two pictures are cards that do not actually feature the catcher, but the catcher is in the photograph. So I'll show these together. This is the two 1987 Topps New York Mets players, Wally Backman and Kevin Mitchell, but you can see they're both sliding in home plate. For some reason, I seem to have an affinity for these dust in the air, kind of chaos happening pictures, but I always liked these two cards from the 87 Topps. This was right in my wheelhouse when I was a kid. I used to collect 87, both Donruss and Topps and Fleer. Actually, I have an 87 Fleer episode coming up here in a little bit. But these two cards I thought just have really cool pictures, particularly the Mitchell card because of the dust flying in the air. So put those two cards up, and I'll make room for the next one. The next one is another one from 1987 Topps. And this is a catcher card. This is Tony Pena. Again, he's no dust in the air yet, but you can tell he's about to have a collision at home plate back in the years when there actually was collisions at home plate. That's primarily why most of these cards are vintage cards, because with the new rules, they don't have nearly as many collisions at home plate as they used to. But Tony Pena, I've always liked him. He was a cool catcher. He was known for, he kind of had a unique style of catching. He put his leg out to the side when there was nobody on base, kind of revolutionized the catcher position for a little while anyways. I don't know if anyone still catches the ball quite like he did back in the day, but Tony Pena. Now the next one, this is, and I'm not really sure what year this is. I should know, but it's a Topps Gold card. You could probably tell if we look at the back. It looks like 1993. This is a Topps Gold. This is from the era that I did not collect much during this time, so I don't know a lot about this time period of cards. But from what I gathered, there was gold parallels. This is kind of like the introduction to the concept of parallels. And from what I understand, the gold cards were maybe one per box, or maybe that might be wrong, but I think I heard that once, that there were one per box. So these gold cards for that time period were fairly rare, but obviously there's still hundreds of thousands of millions of cards printed, so they're not super rare, but they're a little bit more difficult to find than the typical base cards. But anyways, the image is why I picked this card. This is Mike Scioscia, and you can see his helmet is flying off, and he's getting ready to throw from his knees. And I've always wondered what in the world was going on with this picture, because if you look here, there's the knee of some player. The umpire is standing here, but I'm not really sure if the home plate is here. How is there a runner with his knee on his backside, and he's got the ball trying to throw down a base? I'm not really sure what really was going on during this picture, but it looks kind of fun. A lot of chaos happening in there with Mike Scioscia. So thought I'd include that in today's episode. The next one is just another card that's it's not a catcher card, and it's not even actually a vintage card, but it's a Brett Phillips sliding into home plate. I thought this is a really, really cool image. The catcher is clearly catching the ball. He's not going to get the tag on him in time. And Brett Phillips is scoring. Brett Phillips kind of had a real bright future ahead of him back in the middle of the last decade, like 2017, 18, and that time. He was coming up with the Brewers, and then the Brewers traded him. I want to say they traded him for Mike Moustakas, I think, in 2018. Brewers needed some more offense, and Brett Phillips was definitely more known for his defense. He was a tremendous outfielder. He stuck around in the league for several years, but I don't think he ever really panned out as good as we had hoped he was when he was coming up the Brewer system. The next one, this is just kind of funny. This is a catcher card of a relief pitcher, Roger McDowell. This is typical of Stadium Club. They would take pictures that were kind of unusual like this, but there's nothing really spectacular about this image other than the fact that Roger McDowell is actually a pitcher, and there he is warming up as a catcher. So I thought that was interesting. Threw that on there. Now this next card, I really cheated and made a stretch and make this into a catcher card, but there is a catcher in the image, but it's definitely not of the catcher. This is just a fantastic photo that I wanted to put in this episode because I just love this picture so much. This is Kyle Schwarber clearly hitting a home run in the NLCS against the Padres. Just love this. You can see his eyes going off into the distance following the ball. You can see the umpire's eyes going off in the distance following the ball. You can see this fans pointing, and everybody's just kind of into that moment, and this picture just captures that moment just perfectly. Love that, and it still fits the episode because there is a catcher there, so it still works. Cool picture of a catcher. All right, next one. This is definitely a vintage catcher card. Carlton Fisk, 1974 Topps. Love this image. Hall of Famer catching the ball. Got that dust getting kicked up around home plate. 1974. This is a tough set to find cards centered, and this one is definitely not centered very well top to bottom, but that's not the point. The image is just fantastic. Love that image. Carlton Fisk is known for having several pretty cool images and cards. Now, the next one, now we're getting into some big hitters here. This one, next one is the 1980 Gary Carter. I love this card. It's got, again, I have several, you'll notice several of these cards have dust flying in the air, and I kind of gravitated towards those images. And it's just the scowl on his face, showing the ball in his glove. He had clearly just tagged somebody out at home plate, making sure the umpire knew that he had that out in hand. So love that picture of Gary Carter. Put that up here. Next one is a stoic image of 1976 Topps of Johnny Bench. And this one has fallen out of the one touch a little bit. I'll have to open this up after the episode and reset it in there so it's not kind of kitty wampus in there, but just love this picture. Again, notice dust in the air covering up his knee pads, and just Johnny Bench showing his dominance over whatever was happening. He kind of owned the moment. Just love that picture of Johnny Bench. Great catcher. And the next ones I have are ones I've already shown on the channel, but just love these cards. A couple of episodes ago, I did an episode on card pairings, and this is the 1976 or 1977 Topps Carlton Fisk paired with the likeness from the 2002 Archives Reserve set. So the Archives Reserve is the one that has the shine and the shimmer. Just looks fantastic. And then obviously the vintage card here, Carlton Fisk. This image is just fantastic. The dust in the air again, and he's catching the ball, about ready to tag the runner out at home plate. So loved that card. And then the granddaddy of them all, as far as when it comes to catcher images, is the 1971 Topps Thurman Munson. And I just showed this a couple of episodes ago, but it's worth bringing out again. This is just an iconic image. Thurman Munson tagging out that base runner with his legs flying up in the air, and he's got that grimace on his face. Just a fantastic picture of Thurman Munson. So there you have it. I just had been looking forward to doing this episode for quite a while. So finally tonight, I decided to dig out these cards and put them on display for you all. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Also, I hope you learned a little something from my my mistake I made from my wife my wife's birthday present to me being opened prematurely. If you have people that love you that send you or buy cards for you, always make sure that when you open the envelope, it's you have permission to do so. So at any rate, I've rambled on now for 15 and a half minutes. I appreciate you if you've stuck around for the whole thing. So until next time, enjoy the hobby and stay true to yourself.